Geico asks, how would you love a chance to save some money on insurance? Of course you would. And when it comes to great rates on insurance, Geico can help. Like with insurance for your car, truck, motorcycle, boat, and RV. Even help with homeowners or renters coverage. Plus, add an easy-to-use mobile app, available 24-hour roadside assistance, and more, and Geico is an easy choice. Switch today and see all the ways you could save. It's easy. Simply go to geico.com or contact your local agent today.
Take the next step toward the career you want, be it business, cybersecurity, healthcare, or more. UMGC can help you get there. No application fee when you apply by August 31st. Visit umgc.edu, certified to operate by Chev.
What's up? It's your boy, The Ted Smith. Thanks for listening to the Men's Room Daily Podcast. Want more? Check out the greatest podcast in all the land, The Podcast. Be sure to subscribe and listen to a brand new episode every Tuesday night.
We return to the Men's Room with Miles and Thrill. 99.9 KISW.
Our question, quite simply, what happened to your head? 206-421-ROCK.
We're already getting complaints, all right? Somebody here says, hey, no more calls, please. Go ahead. Just skip the birthdays. Get home early. Look, you knew no one was going to call the great, like somebody put a crown on it when I was coordinating.
I got a great haircut.
But listen, yesterday everyone was mad because we talked about a penis degloving. All right? So today we don't go down the degloving road. We're talking about your head.
Right.
Apparently it's just as bad. So let's add to it. Hello, Jim. Welcome to the Men's Room.
Liquor and whores.
Liquor and whores.
All right, so long story short, about 10 years old, was riding a bike down the hill, got into an accident, and ended up shaving off about a 3-inch by 2-inch part of my skull flat.
God, what did you do? What did you hit?
Basically went over the handlebars, blocked out. There's ink, and I bounced down the road and slid on the top or the backside of my head.
Do you know what you hit?
I didn't hit anything. We ended up finding a piece of shredded bearing had pinched itself in the wall of the tire.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you didn't see that one coming.
No.
Yeah, kids' bikes are crap, man.
One speeders back when we were growing up, you change a flat tire or whatever. Maybe you didn't put the back tire on all the way, or you didn't make the chain tight enough. So it wasn't uncommon for the chain to fall off the bike.
The chain fell off all the time.
Problem was, that was your brake.
Yeah.
So once that thing fell off, it would fall off at the most inopportune times.
Only when you're at the bottom of the hill that you just pedaled as hard as you could to get there.
And then all of a sudden you look down and the chain's just dangling. You're like, oh, no.
I hit my neighbor's mailbox when we lived in Denver, probably like 3 times in one summer, and they finally moved it. And it's because we lived at the bottom of this hill. And, you're 7, 8 years old. You and all your buddies are going as fast as you can, which I'm sure is not breakneck speed, but to a kid, it feels fast. And the chain pops off. Mm-hmm. And, there's nothing, because dragging your feet was not going to slow the bike down before what you hit was even worse. Sure. So we all knew that my neighbor's mailbox, just where it was situated, and it hurt, but it's the only thing that stopped you from going into an intersection, right? So we had the presence of mind to not want to die, but everyone would hit this mailbox. And the guy, Mr. Jackson was his name. We called him the Jackson 5, so there were 5 of them. He would come out and he'd straighten his mailbox back up, try to reinforce it. And within 2 days, if it wasn't me, someone else comes flying down the hill, and you could hear the chain pop off. And they'd slam it to his mailbox. And he finally moved it, but for everyone else, it became problematic because we're like, hey, man, that's like our emergency brake. We're not trying to hit your mailbox. It's just we don't want to die. But to that guy's point where you don't necessarily hit anything, I was maybe 6 years old. And it was one of these, weekend get-togethers, mostly for the adults, because they're grilling and drinking and all this. But there's a bunch of kids there. And these particular people, they lived at the top of a hill. Not a huge one, but enough to get some speed. And I'm not really riding bikes yet, but there's this little girl there, pigtails. I thought she was cute. And she's riding a bike, and back then you had the big-ass banana seats. So she's like, do you want to get on back? I go, sure. Mm-hmm. And we started riding down. There's probably like 12 kids there. But we started riding down. And as we're going down the hill, I remember the handlebars start wiggling back and forth real hard. But she's the one who controlled the bike, So I'm like, what's going on? And the last word she said to me before bad things happened was, I've never ridden a bike before. Those are her words.
Oh, God.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking as little kids thinking. I don't remember the whole thing, but the thing that broke my fall was her. So apparently she went over the handlebars first. I vaguely remember this, but I don't remember the actual action of this. But she went over the handlebars first. I flew off the back. She hit the ground face down. and is in like a diving position sliding down the street. And according to my brother, when I landed, because he thought it was over for me, he's like, you landed on top of her. Same position, like diving, but smashed her face harder into the street. And I remember when it all came to the end, I'd like cut my knee a little bit, not even enough to cry as a little kid, just like more of the 20 minutes of, oh, ah. And meanwhile, I roll off with this girl, dude, and I mean, her face is like half gone, and down the street is like 15 feet of this blood streak, and it was her face.
Yeah.
The party ended shortly after. It was real bad.
Other than motorized stuff, I think the majority of really bad accidents that happened to friends that I knew or school classmates they'd be gone for a month because they were all messed up. And three-wheelers were motorized, were huge on screwing people over. Same with quads. But sleds and bikes, those were the two things. I mean, one kid I knew, grade younger than me. I mean, I don't know. I think he hit a drain pipe. You know what I mean? Like whatever he hit. I mean, it was on a sled, just really messed him up because you go down face first on the red flyer.
They tell you not to, but you do.
Yeah. Here's a good one for you. This was probably one of the funniest things I've seen, even though it wasn't funny it was funny at the time,
but you couldn't laugh out loud.
You really could. It was. So there was a Babe Ruth tournament, and the way they did this Babe Ruth tournament was like on a Saturday they would play 3 or 4 games. Then on Sunday they would play 3 or 4 games. The next weekend you go back, and by the time the weekend was done, you'd have a winner for the tournament. But they still gave you about 45 minutes in between games. So both teams would go out there. They would take infield real quick. They would do batting practice real quick. You know what I mean? They would give you a break, about an hour, to get things situated. Umpires would get something to drink or whatever, and then they come back out and everything. But we were doing batting practice. Now, as the opposing teams are leaving, they needed to walk down the third base line to go to the parking lot to go to their cars. So the third base line, that was basically the trail out, right? Somebody's in the batting cage. They hit a foul ball. It goes over the third base line, and it hits this woman square on top of the head as she's walking out. And I swear to you, it sounded like someone hit a coconut with a hammer. It was like, you know what I mean? And she turned around to look to see. I mean, when this ball hit the top of her head, it bounced off of her head like it hit pavement.
Right.
I mean, it shot off the top of her head, right? And she turned around to look to see what was going on. And then she turned back and she kept on walking. And it was like 5 steps later. And then she just hit the deck. I mean, it was like, and she was out. Like, she held on, not knowing what happened, seemingly, like physically, for like 3 or 4 more steps. I don't even think her husband realized what had happened.
Sure.
You know what I mean? He just heard the sound, looked around. She's turning around, too. She's turning back. And I'm like, oh, my God. And then she just dropped.
Did they piece together what happened?
Yes. We all saw it. What happened to your head? 206-421-ROCK.
Hello, Josh. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola.
Hola.
So when I was about 11 years old, it was on Easter, playing freeze tag with my cousin and my sister in my grandma's front yard. And I went to dive to get out of the way from getting tagged. And I hit the brick wall garden bed.
Oh.
Yeah.
And you dove into it?
I dove. I didn't even realize I was diving into it, just trying to get away from the tag, you know. And there's one brick turned sideways in the whole thing, and that is the one brick I hit.
Where did you hit on your head?
It was on the top of my head, left side, and it gave me a nice little gash and ended up going to the hospital getting staples in my head.
Yep.
That will do it, man.
And probably many concussed.
Damn.
What? Yeah.
And he dove into it.
Right. And that's what you got to remember. It might not be that bad to you at the time. Like, you can deal with the pain. You know there's something serious going on. But, man, it freaks your parents out.
Yes, it does.
It's worse for your parent, believe it or not, than it is sometimes for the person who is injured, depending on the severity. But when there's blood and everything else, it's your kid. It's just like, I don't know.
I mean, the only freak out we've had with the kid, and I've said this before, my daughter, she's 4 years old, I think, but they used to love to jump on her bed. And I kept saying, guys, you got to stop jumping on the bed, right? And I'm not being mean. I'm looking out for you. So naturally, they listen as well as most kids. Within 5 minutes, my son comes running down the hall and just, hey, something's going down, man. And I go into the bed. We had a metal bed frame, and she managed to bounce off the bed. She landed like in a seated position, but the back of her head hit the corner of the frame. And it cut the back of her head wide open. Yep. So there is blood everywhere. And, you know, as a parent, I'm like, oh, my God, right? This is like the first emergency situation we've had, and all I see is blood. And T-shirts are off, towels wrapped around her head. So we drive her ass to the hospital. And like anything, even though it's the emergency room, you still have to kind of hurry up and wait. But there was a woman in front of us in line. And I'm holding my daughter, and so my daughter's face is in my chest, but there's blood dripping through my fingers, everything else. So this woman who's there on her own behalf turns around and sees this and says, "Please go ahead." I mean, I said, "Look, go ahead. You know, we got to do all the paperwork, all this." She insists, and I get it. It's a kid thing. Like, thank you, you know, whatever. So filling out all the paperwork. Yes, we have insurance. Just take care of my kid, right? So now we're sitting in the waiting room, and I still have my daughter who's not moving much. You know, but she's still just bleeding profusely, man. And my son, who's, well, he's no longer a young man of few words. He has plenty to say. But at the time, he wasn't saying anything. But he was like the Indian in the Don't Litter commercial.
Right.
There was a single tear, and it did not drop any more down his face. It just stayed there, right? And somehow that made it even sadder. Okay, but so I'm holding my daughter. My daughter's okay. You know, I'm kind of talking to her a little bit. But as we're waiting for the doctor to see us, the woman who let us go ahead has taken a seat across from us, okay? And like anything, you're kind of looking around the room to figure out what's wrong with each person. Some people, it's obvious. You know, there's a kid who's covered his mouth in his blood. It's like, right, he knocked out teeth. Someone else is holding her leg. Don't know what happened, but they're here for the leg. But this woman across from us can't figure it out. She seems fine. She's kind of playing around on her phone and all this. And then, but it's real quiet in there. Then I hear...
Like your stomach?
And then she throws her hand over her stomach, gets up, runs down the hall, goes to the bathroom, right? And I'm like, ooh.
That's every day for you.
That's pretty bad, right? But she comes back, sits down again. No big deal. About another 5 minutes passes. And now, I mean, this is a full spread down the bathroom. I look at my wife, I go, she's got the S's. Mm-hmm. She's got the S's so bad, she's in the emergency room. So now the rest of the time we're sitting there, and this is not a particularly funny experience for me as a parent, but I'm trying not to laugh because the only sound in this emergency room is... And now she's sitting there, but she's pooped herself out. There's no more poop left, I guess. But she's like sitting there doubled over, both hands on her stomach. She made a call. Her mother shows up. So this woman's about my age. Her mom shows up. Mom's got to be like 75. Then her mom has her hand on her back, rubbing her back. It is the only sound the whole time. Like, Jesus Christ, I whisper my daughter's ear, it's better to be you than her. And in the end, I think she got like 3 staples or something. She was fine.
What happened to your head? 206-421-ROCK.
Hello, Buck. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola, bicholas.
Hola.
Where to start? I've cracked my head open 5 times, but
Jesus.
I think we'll start with the one where I was getting ready for a job interview and ended up cracking my head while I was buck naked.
Did you get the job?
Well, no, but it was good to call and cancel and say I couldn't make it that day. And then I went to the interview 2 weeks later, and I didn't get it, but that same woman 2 years later hired me.
Okay.
So
Did you tell you? How did
that
you
seemed to work out?
How did you bust your head? But it's not like you just get naked and suddenly you have a head injury.
Right. Well, to start, I am a daily active smoker.
Okay.
And so I seem to crack my head open when I'm baked more than not.
Well,
so
yeah.
This time, yeah. So I was, it was in the morning, probably about 11 o'clock. All the kids were off at school. Wife was at work. I'm getting ready for my job interview. So I smoke, and then I go turn on the shower. And I thought, oh, okay, I'm going to go pound that Rockstar that I have before I hop in the shower and get all ready to go. So I'm naked, and I go out into the garage, and I crack open that Rockstar, and I start pounding it, and then all of a sudden it goes down the wrong tube, and I start choking. The next thing I know, I feel myself pass out. I end up falling down in the fetal position and my head cracking on the corner of my cornhole boards. So right in the corner of that board, there's a nice upside down reverse L on my forehead now.
Is the scar still there?
Yes, it is.
Do you still think you have maybe any damage in your head since you've hit it so many times? You ever worry about that?
Sometimes, but like I said, I'm still functional and successful, I feel, so
don't you
I'm
think
rolling with it.
Of all the letters that you could have a scar on your head, L is probably the worst. Loser. Right. I mean,
Tell me about it.
Right.
Tell me about it. I also have an I on there also on my forehead, so now it says ill.
Ill. Nice.
The other one happened. It was 2007. We were going wakeboarding, and at the time I was about 260 pounds. And it was just right at the beginning of the season, obviously, and first time sunny out. And I'd fallen a couple times and pulled myself up that last time, and so I'm riding for a good 20, 30 seconds. Well, I bail, and when I hit the water, I come up, and right when I come up head first, here comes the board, and it's been straight at my head. Just cracked me right in the head. That one, so, I'm with the guys, and we're all sitting there, and, I tap my top of my head, like, okay, I'm done. They come and pick me up, and I'm like, they see the weather.
Once again, bedroom callers, here are the 7 words you can't say on the radio. Sucker, mother, and please keep those words in mind when calling. Now, back to the program.
Good times.
Good time.
Good times. What happened to your head? 206-421-ROCK.
Got an L on his forehead. You got 26 letters. That is the one you don't want.
You look better now.
Hello, Tommy. Welcome to the men's room. Hello, Tommy.
Hola.
Hola.
All right. I'll try and make it short and sweet. So there was this gulch that we found. I was about 15.
All right.
And there was a rope swing on this tree, and it would go over, and it's about 30 feet deep. Well, there was a knot on the tree, and when you swing across, it would rub. We found that out later. Well, it rubbed way too much, and I swung across. I fell 30 feet down, and this is like a gulch that looks like Jurassic Park. So we didn't have anything except for a skateboard. So I land, my head hits a log. They drive me back on the skateboard, and I kept saying, look, my head hurts, my arm hurts. I can't remember anything. I think the rope snapped. And I kept repeating that, so they take me to the doctor. And the doctor told me to remember blue ball, light post, fire extinguisher. And I'll never forget that because you're not supposed to go to sleep when you're concussed. We go back to that same rope swing, and there was a 3-inch divot in the log where my head hit.
Damn. Jeez. And you fell 30 feet in the air, you think?
Yes.
Damn.
I mean, I was a smaller person then, but yeah, it was a long drop. I'm telling you, it was when you fall and I hit my head just perfectly, my neck didn't break, and I wasn't bleeding. But yeah, I definitely took a fall. And that was a definite experience in my lifetime where kids shouldn't play that hard.
But they all do. Look, that's why parents say what parents say. We know they're going to. We still try to warn them not to. But kids, I remember being a kid. If my parents told me not to do it, I didn't necessarily do it. But if they said don't do it too much, then you did it too much. Or don't do it so rough, then you did it so rough.
I had a buddy who he was just one of those. We were like, come on, man, you can do the rope swing. It's not that big of a deal. You know what I mean? Just do it. He was one of those guys who was hesitant about everything. He didn't like, we just would go for it. At that age, no big deal. So Rodney says, all right, man, I'm going to do this. So he swings out, he goes over the water, and he decides when he's over the water, what is the worst decision you can possibly make?
Hold on to the rope.
I'm not going to let go. So it's just like water skiing. Let go of the rope. As soon as you eat it, let go of the rope. If you hold on, you're going to kill yourself. You're going to give yourself an enema.
Right.
So, but he goes out, comes straight back into the tree. Bam! Dislocates a shoulder. First time, last time.
But dude, but you gotta let go, man. You have to let go.
You can't swing back into the tree. What happened to your head? 206-421-ROCK.
Geico asks, how would you love a chance to save some money on insurance? Of course you would. And when it comes to great rates on insurance, Geico can help. Like with insurance for your car, truck, motorcycle, boat, and RV. Even help with homeowners or renters coverage. Plus, add an easy-to-use mobile app, available 24-hour roadside assistance, and more, and Geico is an easy choice. Switch today and see all the ways you could save. It's easy. Simply go to geico.com or contact your local agent today.
Take the next step toward the career you want, be it business, cybersecurity, healthcare, or more. UMGC can help you get there. No application fee when you apply by August 31st. Visit umgc.edu, certified to operate by Chev.
99.9 KISW. Yeah! You're in the men's room.
Special announcement coming up at 4:30. Yes, we're making announcements again. Very, very exciting. And it does concern men's room original red to some degree. So, special announcement coming up at 4:30. One Cincinnati driver, not very lucky after what ABC News calls an Emrys cicada flew into the vehicle's window, causing the car to crash. The accident took place 6:30 yesterday afternoon when the insect flew into the car as it was making its way along Riverside Drive, hit the driver in the face. The startled driver ended up veering off of the road and smashing into a utility pole. The cicada was declared dead at the scene. Our question, what happened to your head? 206-421-ROCK.
Hello, Mara. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola.
Hola.
Okay, so my best friend's driving. We're going down 99, and the cops go to pull us over. Well, he decides he can't stop. So he floors it. We go down 99 to 128, turn on there at 128, go up over the freeway. They flatten the tires at the top of the hill. He keeps going. We get to the other side of the freeway, and where the park and ride is, there's a hill that goes up. And so he turns up that hill, and then he slows down. He says, okay, jump. So I did at 35.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. My head found the only section of curb that was there, split it wide open. The cop stopped, asked why I jumped. I said, well, I don't know him. I don't know why you were chasing him, and I didn't want no part of it. And then they took me to the hospital, and he was in the room next to me because they did catch him and gave him a good workover. I had 13 stitches or staples put into my head and got to go home, and he got to go to jail.
What was it that they were looking for him for?
He had an extensive history.
Did you know that?
Well, he was my best friend. I knew that, but I wasn't going to tell them that because then they're going to ask me all kinds of questions.
Okay, all right.
Other than why the hell did you jump out of a moving vehicle?
How's that guy doing now?
Actually, he's doing really good. Got his own business, completely straightened his life up after that.
Nice. Okay.
How long did this pursuit last before you finally jumped out of the car?
6 minutes, maybe.
Okay. And what are you thinking when this is going on? Like, I'm going to die today, or what?
Yeah, that pretty much covered it. This is so not good. I don't want to go to jail. I told him, I'm telling him I don't know you. He's like, okay, that's cool. Okay, that's cool. Okay, I'm slowing down. Well, I kind of expected maybe a little bit slower than 35, but...
Well, he was in a hurry, to be fair, you know.
Yeah.
Do you remember the cops being there? Were you conscious when they came to take care of you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I was.
And were you bleeding or anything like that?
Like crazy.
Yeah.
All right. Good times. That is fun.
Aurora. What happened to your head? 206-421-ROCK.
Even the driver's on Aurora.
Home of good times.
Hello, Jeremy. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola, bitches.
Hola.
So back in 2004, I was at a indoor motocross track in Renton. It was the end of the night. Now we've been riding all day like I do every night after work. And they split the classes up in your, how good you are or whatever. So I was in the intermediate class. All night, come into the night, and they put all the classes together. So I'm out there riding, and I'm going to pass this guy over jump on the last lap of the practice. A dude didn't want me to pass him, apparently. Crossed up the jump and took out the front tire of my bike, and it bucked me off. And I landed on my head about 20 feet up and ended up breaking my neck.
Jesus, man. So how long is recovery from a broken neck?
Well, now 17 years and still in the chair, but I was in the hospital for 3 months.
So are you paralyzed?
Yeah, paralyzed from the down, quadriplegic.
You say from the shoulders down or the waist down?
From the chest.
From the chest down. Is there anything in the future? Is there anything out there that gives you hope that maybe one day you could walk again?
I mean, there's stuff going on in the medical field, but I mean, I've been doing this for so long and got a pretty good life after it happened. So I'm kind of good with it. So
okay, how long mentally did it take you to just come to grips with where you were?
I had one rough day with my mom telling me that I wasn't going to walk again. After that, I had a ton of friends and family in the hospital with me, so it kind of just kept my spirits up and helped me get through getting back to living life.
What could you pick yourself out of a chair? Like, could you do like a dip and push yourself up? Your arms still functioning?
Oh yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So I still have function in my arms. I just don't have finger function. But I play wheelchair rugby. I play it in Seattle here, so it didn't slow me down. I get to beat the hell out of people now, so there's an upside to it.
You sound amazingly positive. For your experience, that's I could not fathom going through something like that.
No, I couldn't either. But I guess nobody does until you're there, right?
Exactly. Then you just have to deal with it. Man, wow, that's crazy. What happened to your head? 206-421-ROCK.
Well, that was a pick me up.
Yeah.
Let's see what else we got. Hello, Ray Ann. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola, bitches.
Hola.
So when I was 16, I was riding a horse with one of my friends, and we were running. Never done that before. I ended up falling off, bashed my head. I was knocked unconscious, and somehow woke up in her bathtub. Not really sure how that happened. Then my mom ended up taking me to the hospital. They gave me ibuprofen, told me I had a concussion. I was fine. I could go home. I woke up the next morning, the whole right side of my head was mush, like from the outside. And I ended up in Harborview, and they almost had to relieve the pressure out of my skull, but they just gave me a bunch of meds, and I ended up in a medically induced coma for like a month and a half. But now I just have major migraines, still alive and all good.
Okay.
Jesus.
So do you remember... Did they tell you they were going to put you into a coma before this? Look, we're just going to knock you out for a while until we can figure out what's going on. Did you have any idea that was going to happen?
I wasn't really sure. I didn't really know what was going on for quite a while, but then I was just really out of it, super doped up, and they sent me home. My mom just kind of monitored my medication. Woke up one day and I was good.
But do you remember being out that long? Do you remember, you know what I mean?
No. Not really, no.
So was it like was it like if you went to sleep tonight and woke up tomorrow? Was it like that?
Or does it?
Yeah, that's what it felt like for me. Yeah, but not everybody else.
Okay, all right. I got a question for you. I know then, say 6-7 hours that I sleep. When I wake up, apparently the turd fairy pooped in my mouth. How bad is your breath after 6 weeks or whatever it was?
Oh my God, for real, it was bad. It was like coated from all the medication. It was horrible. I couldn't even eat ice cream.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be mean, but you could be my daughter, and you've been down for a month and a half, and they wake you up, and if you go, Dad, it'd be like, babe, before you say anything, you need a breath mint.
And then I was thinking too, you wake up now, and you got a hair from your belly button down to your knees. You know what I'm saying? Was there anything? Was there anything weird like that? Where you're like, oh my goodness.
No, I don't remember any of that, but it was crazy. In my mouth, it was definitely an issue.
Yeah, that's
you do bring up the other thing, right, man? Nobody trimmed my pubes while I was going.
Well, the whole thing, the legs.
Look at me.
I'm a bush woman.
Good.
Here, I'm a piss. Poof. I got like a neck beard now.
You'd be a great doctor. Oh, welcome back, bush woman.
Whoa, Bigfoot. What happened to your head? 206-421-ROCK.
Hello, Ben. Welcome to the men's room.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Hola!
Hey, so in high school, when I was a freshman, I was playing two-hand touch football in gym class, and another guy and I collided going for a pass, and his nose, kind of in the forehead, hit me above my right ear.
All right.
And we just collided. We both went down. Everyone's paying attention to him because he's bleeding out his nose. And I look fine on the outside, but it turns out that my skull had cracked in and cut my brain open.
Jesus! I was wondering why you kind of talked a little slow.
So how do you figure out that your brain has been cut? I mean, is it the next day you have a severe headache, or do you go to the hospital that same day?
So I started sweating profusely, throwing up. We went to the hospital here in Puyallup, and they pretty much told my mom, this kid's got a skull fracture. He's bleeding on his brain, and he's currently in a helicopter going to Harborview. This is the kind of injury you see in motorcycle accidents. It's kind of a freak accident that this just happened playing two-hand touch. So it was pretty immediate because I was throwing up and sweating profusely and kind of the common signs of serious head trauma.
Do you remember any of the helicopter ride?
No, I was in a coma.
See?
How many comatose people can call one radio show in a day?
That's what
Do we have anyone that remembers something?
We see all these helicopters fly by laying on the hospital all the time.
But there goes Ben.
It's just sad to think that nobody can remember that ride and being over I-5 and landing on top of a building.
I do remember I was coming in and out of consciousness, and I do remember like having a tube down my throat, and my wrists were like strapped down because I kept trying to grab the tube and pull it out of my throat.
Well, sure.
Mm-hmm.
So I do remember coming in and out of consciousness with the tube down my throat, and I was kind of, stuck. But that's about it. I woke up like 2 days later in the hospital. Kind of a big deal.
And what do they do? I mean, is it so your skull fractures? I mean, is that something they can fix, or what do you do?
They went in, removed that piece of skull, and now I have titanium.
Oh, really?
Oh, you got an upgrade. That's what you're saying.
Oh, do you? I mean,
I got a good head.
Do you set off the metal detector at the airport?
I don't. Surprisingly, I've done quite a bit of traveling, and I've never set it off at the airport. So
you don't drool when someone puts a microwave on or anything like that?
No.
Okay, well, that's cool.
But you could never do something like an MRI, though, right? Because it would just rip that thing out of your head.
It hasn't come up. I'm not sure if that's ever going to be a thing in the.
Do not do that.
No.
Yeah, I mean, if there's like anything metal in your body, as I understand it, they're like that is the last place you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
Copy that.
And they make you listen to Coldplay to make it even worse.
Yeah, listen, the people that run the MRI machines. Look, I know you're not responsible for the music itself, but certainly you know the difference in genres. Like, they should be given the Billboard chart, right? And you go, look, this is how most people identify different forms of music. So when you say, hey, do you like rock? Mm-hmm. And I say, yeah, I need you to understand I might be leaning, say, just more Van Halen than, I don't know, the Beach Boys.
We'll put a playlist together for you. You play Insane in the Brain Damage Eclipse from Pink Floyd, Head Games from Foreigner.
Oh, God, everything about
all
that.
The hits. All the hits. What happened to your head? 206-421-ROCK.
Hello, Josh. Welcome to the men's room.
Hello. How's it going?
Hola.
Hey, so this is 1978, and I'm short of 2 years old.
All right.
I'm in my grandpa's Mustang. My mom is driving. I'm in my uncle's lap. No seatbelts, right?
Those were the days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So she's tootling around the backwoods of Maple Valley area, and she gets a little too squirrely in this fastback. And, of course, I don't remember this. This is a story from my father, who wasn't there. But so she gets squirrely, car gets airborne, I get ejected out of the vehicle, so I crack the windshield with my head. My uncle remembers this. So I leave his hand, and I'm through the windshield, and I get catapulted, I don't know how far, but I land in this, kind of like brushy area. The car crunches around my mom. She's trapped in the car. My uncle's out also, and he's trying to find me. He eventually finds me. I'm going in and out of consciousness. He finds me. God bless this serviceman. He pulls over and assesses the scene. We had a Irish setter. He bailed, and we're about 2 miles from my grandma's house. The dog books it all the way home. My grandma starts tripping because she's like, why is the dog here? Where's my family?
Hey, throw out the window, lassie.
Yes.
There was a bad car accident, Irish setters.
Yes. Yeah. So, long story short is I have a fist-sized amount of my brain that doesn't work. And apparently when you get to age 3 is when your growth plates of your head, solidify because your brain's squishy, or your skull is squishy up until about age 3. And they say you only use a certain percentage of your brain. I have all my functions, I'm normal. You wouldn't know until you lift up my right side of my my front area. So it's that prefrontal cortex area, and nothing was damaged until you can't tell until I lift my forehead, my hair, and you can see like this big divot in my skull. And that last gentleman that called, my dad used to joke that I was supposed to get a plate in my head, and that I could put a magnet to it and make everybody laugh. That never happened, and I have about a 55 stitch scar.
Jesus. I mean, like, any time that something weird happens to you, like, for an example, you're in 8th grade. It's algebra. It's your first day. Like, this doesn't compute. Now, that's just me normally.
Right.
But now you've got this part of your brain.
Like, legitimately, if that's part of your brain, like, do you know
what I'm saying?
What functions or cognitive abilities that part of your brain was supposed to be doing for
like
you?
making dumb decisions on dating people. Like, oh, that must be that part of my brain right there, you know?
That's your penis,
It's
Miles.
supposed to be part of critical thinking and good decision-making skills, which I kind of lack at, so maybe I do for a little bit.
Yeah, but you got a built-in
That's
excuse.
what I'm saying. Like, you hand the officer a card. Sir,
this is the best I'm going to do.
Yeah,
only
the dummy card.
fifth of my brain works, so...
By the way, as far as plates in your head go, everyone has let us know, because we're the only two people on this earth that apparently, we did not know this, surgical titanium, not magnetic.
Oh, really?
So if you have
So
a
that's why they put titanium in there.
anything, that's probably why. But a bunch of people, one guy, he has a plate in his neck. And
You
he's
can't break that stuff, can you?
I mean, I'm sure you can.
I've heard of people who've gotten titanium wedding rings and had their finger ripped off.
Yes.
Because the ring would not give. You know what I mean? So...
yeah, they're explaining titanium is a non-ferrous metal and is not magnetic. It will not get ripped out by an MRI, nor will it set off a metal detector, nor can you stick a magnet to your head.
It'll hit a golf ball 350. What happened to your head? 206-421-ROCK.
He's going to golf with his forehead.
Exactly.
Grab me by the ankles and swing me. Boom.
Sweet.
Hello, Ben. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola.
Hola.
All right, so when I was a senior in high school, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, whether I was going to college or what. And so my football coach got me and my best friend a job with his dad's logging company. And we were logging a burn, and our job was to follow this big machine up the hill. And the machine would reach out, grab the tree, push a button, saw blade comes out, lay it in a stack. And apparently at some point he didn't have a very good grip on the tree, and it broke out and came back and hit me in the head.
Oh. Ooh, how much do you think this tree weighed?
He said, because I had to go back and finish the pay period, because that was one of those, this is what men do, son, stories from my dad. He said it was probably the top half of the tree, and it was about, 8 inches through. So I'm guessing the part that hit me was pretty good.
Did you get knocked out?
Yeah.
And did you wake up in a hospital?
Yeah, about 5 hours later.
Okay.
And he had to spin the cab around and it was big enough that he had to pick up the chunk of tree off of me. And
Jesus.
So.
Did you wear a hat? Did you have a hard hat on?
I did. It was a plastic hard hat, and a knot from one of the branches punched through. And the doctor told me it was a good thing that it was plastic, because it was metal. It just compressed and broke my neck.
Jesus, man.
God almighty. Do you still have that hat?
It's at my parents' house somewhere.
Okay, that's a keeper, I think.
Apparently there's something called the Turtle Club, where people whose lives have been saved by hard hats get this membership. And
Yay!
Yeah, my grandfather signed me up for it, so I'm a member of the Turtle Club, I guess.
Sweet, you get a newsletter every year.
Wow. Yeah, some clubs you don't want to be a part of.
We'll go to a bar and all drool together. You know what I mean?
By the way, someone else regarding metal plates and all this says, I used to babysit a boy with plates in his head. We couldn't have magnets in our house because his were magnetic, and it could kill him if he came into contact with magnets.
How would you know?
Terrifying stuff. Well, I mean, because technology changes, right? So that's probably why they switched to titanium. Someone else regarding titanium rings, this guy says, I've broken my titanium ring on a glass bowl before. The dangers of smoking. Damn.
What happened to your head? 206-421-ROCK.
Hello, Eric. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola, Bechola.
Hola.
So I was 12 years old. I was on a back tire wreck. We got ran off the road, and I took a chunk out of a dash and put my face through the windshield, and had braces. They locked together. My whole front face got shattered in 4 places, and knocked the front 16 teeth out of my mouth and got 600 stitches.
600 stitches. How ugly are you now?
Oh, man, they turned 4 scars into one. They did a bunch of skin grafts. I spent 2 years in surgery. Cost them, back in '92, I had $190,000 worth of surgery in my face just to look this pretty.
Did they have to wire your jaw shut?
Well, I had braces at the time. They had to re-put everything back that they could, and they actually went through and cut up to my eyeball, and I was the 4th person in the country to have freeze-dried bone put in their face, and I had to have titanium jaw.
And then you might remember him from Goonies screaming, "Hey, you guys!"
My buddy he drove his car under an 18-wheeler. He fell asleep at the wheel, right? Completely smashed. His face is gone. So they life flight him to Presbyterian Hospital in Pittsburgh. He has a fake ID on him.
Oh no!
It's a Pennsylvania fake ID. No one knew because they kept trying to find out who this person was. This person is not really a person. They figured it out. It's a fake ID. Okay, who is this person? Anyway, a few days go by. So basically, they cut him from the underneath side of his ears all the way underneath his chin, and they pulled up his skin, and they put back together his jaw. But then they had to wire his jaw shut. Okay, they also did the same with his forehead. They cut it at the top to his ears and peeled his skin down so they could rebuild his forehead and his nose and all the things, right? Well, he's got 2 bolts in the top of his head. These are anchoring in the wires into his jaw.
Jeez,
so
man.
Weeks go by, we're eventually able to go up and see him. So we go up and see him the first time, and you look at somebody and you're just like, oh my God. It was insane. But we would talk to him, but he couldn't really talk to us. So anyway, all right, it was freaky. We were just absolutely like, oh my God, this is unbelievable, blah, blah, blah. So his mom calls. It's like, hey, you should really go back up there and see Joel because he really had a good time seeing you guys, and he just wants to see you. No problem, man, all the way up. And all he could do is go this. So they're trying to talk to him like, Joel, how you doing? For an hour and a half.
It's like talking to Charlie Brown's parents.
And he was his hands were mangled up, so it wasn't like he was writing down anything. He was like, but I just could never forget the bolts. They were
How big were they?
They were huge because they were holding in the wires that were going into his mouth. It was kind of, like, it's the damnedest thing you ever saw. It was literally 2 bolts in the top of his head.
So when he was finally released from the hospital, say a year goes by, did he look different or did he look like someone who had just been in an accident?
You know what? He looked great. They gave him a new nose. He always had like a fangly looking nose. And it was just perfect. It was like a perfect nose. Like a model. You know what I mean?
He came out of this better looking than he went.
Well, he used to have bags under his eyes. Kind of looked like an owl. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Cheney from Temple. But then he had this kind of weird flat and fat nose. No, I had this sleek, like soap opera looking nose.
And no bags under the eyes?
No, he looks great now. You never even know. Ryan Castle coming up. We will say and spin. We got the 10 greatest guitar riffs of all times and a very special announcement coming up at 4:30.
Geico asks, how would you love a chance to save some money on insurance? Of course you would. And when it comes to great rates on insurance, Geico can help. Like with insurance for your car, truck, motorcycle, boat, and RV. Even help with homeowners or renters coverage. Plus, add an easy-to-use mobile app, available 24-hour roadside assistance, and more, and Geico is an easy choice. Switch today and see all the ways you could save. It's easy. Simply go to geico.com or contact your local agent today.